Hello, it's Stray Faye here with another episode of Cupid Parasite, starting off the same way we started off the last episode. Lynette seems to have, oops, she did it again, because, yeah, uh, she and Raul passionate hugged again, this time a very anger-fueled passionate hugging. Seems like Raul's getting a little jealous of other people approaching Lynette. Which, jealousy can blossom into love, although might be a scary kind of love. Anywho, let's start the next chapter. The value of making love. You tired, Lynette? It's still nighttime. In the middle of the night, I woke up in a drowsy haze. I put my hand to my throat and exhaled. I can breathe. My throat was sore from last night. I was dying of thirst. I dragged myself out of bed and headed down to the kitchen. I took a drink of water, then sighed. The memory of what had happened was still fresh in my mind. Raul hadn't said a word. He looked nervous, almost scared the whole time we were together. But that was nothing compared to the heat of the pleasure, the passion. I was focused entirely on the act itself. I told him that he shouldn't be sleeping around so casually, and yet here you are. This whole route's just been like, they just been throwing it in your face. Well, the other routes kind of like took it slow and easy, like eased your way into it until you're just like, oh god, just get a room already. Yeah, this one just like slaps you in the face. No, but it didn't seem casual, so maybe that wasn't the right way to put it. The way Raul showed his desire for me, it was like I was the only one in the world for him. It wasn't like one of his normal flings. It was like he was desperate to keep me with him. It was completely different from before, but I don't know why. He was delicate and gentle last time, but this time it felt much more pleasurable. She likes it rough, okay. My heart was pounding and I couldn't calm down. It should have been the same, but for some reason it was different. Human behavior is so hard to understand. I just can't get a handle on it. I went quietly back upstairs and climbed back into bed, being careful not to wake him. The footsteps almost sound like she's walking with shoes. Didn't want to do the little barefoot taps. He was deep asleep, like a little boy that's cried himself to sleep. His hands were clinging onto the sheets tightly as if he were pleading. Was today about some kind of possessiveness? Maybe he thought that his mythology friends would take me from him, and he didn't like that? Oh, well, at least she kind of gets it. I was afraid she's just gonna be like completely naive about it. Like a child afraid that someone's gonna take his favorite toy. He just wants to keep me all to himself. Okay, maybe you can see some issues here. Maybe that might be Raul's issue. Like, he has a lot of shallow relationships, and yeah, he's just like afraid to lose the one deep connection like he finally got. If that's the case, I need to make it clear to him that this isn't the way to make his feelings known. I get the sense that he doesn't understand his own emotions, although I guess that goes for me too. Put my hand to my chest and touched my Cupid's bow. I've seen countless people in love, and that's not the emotion that was on display today. But then, what was it? Ultimately, the only thing I was feeling in that moment was exhaustion. Maybe I should try falling back asleep. Dawn was still several hours away. I closed my eyes, imagining myself sleeping soundly till morning. That's Raul's perspective. Morning. The morning sunlight seeps into my closed eyes. Normally, I feel refreshed in the morning, but today I feel sluggish. Everything felt so strange. Ugh. My body had never felt so heavy just after waking up. But at the same time, I'd never felt so alive. I stretched and looked to my side. There she was. She was curled up in a fetal position, snoozing away like a small child. I couldn't explain what I was feeling. I never felt this way watching someone sleep before. What should I call this emotion? It wasn't like loneliness or pain. All I knew was I wanted to touch her. Instinct forced me to reach out and touch her hair, softly, so I didn't wake her. Another unknown feeling shot through me. I acted so strange yesterday. For some reason I was filled with desire. That desire stayed with me the entire time we were together. She forbade me from making love casually, but in that moment my desire was anything but casual. That's why I did what I did. Teacher. I called out to her. That's really what she was, not just an advisor. I wanted her to teach me the names of these emotions. Even she doesn't know. She's in my teacher in acting and my teacher in love. My Cupid. Lynette. I quietly called her name, which caused my heart to stir. But was that because I was happy, or because it didn't feel right? I don't know. I don't understand any of this. I've traveled the world and met thousands of people, and I've never felt this way after sleeping with someone. But what am I feeling, really? It's a little like that time I was lost in the desert. Like a nomad discovering an oasis. Like a snake trying to swallow a mouse whole. That's how I want to make love to her. This was all new to me, but it felt so good. I thought I knew how good sex could feel, but now I was overwhelmed by some new sensation. In that moment, that's all I knew for sure. I stood up and stretched. I felt heavy, tired, hungry. I satisfied the other primal instinct, eating. I almost never felt this sluggish. I exercise every day, and I've always been able to keep my energy high, even with a tough schedule. I felt something big pass through my body. Whatever, I should make breakfast. Once she wakes up, we can eat together, and I can talk to her about yesterday's meeting. That must be it. I've never had someone I wanted to call mine before. If this feeling has a name, it must be happiness. By the way, I wonder what she likes to have for breakfast. Now I'm thinking about what someone else likes. Another first for me. Is it because I want to reward her? Because I respect her? Or because I just like her? I don't know. In any case, I should make the best breakfast ever. Once my teacher wakes up, she'll probably get really mad about yesterday. Oopsie. Sorry, I forced myself on you. Oops. Alright, Lynette's going back to work. After leaving Raul's place. I was in the office today to submit my weekly report. I finished up my work, then collapsed onto my desk, exhausted. The past few days have been so hectic. That morning, I ate breakfast with Raul. Just as I was about to really lay into him, I remembered I had to come into the office. Okay, the lecture had to wait. Thanks to the feeling of shame, I practically ran out of his house. I went to my place to get dressed. Out all night again, Clarice was surprised to see me when she walked in. And I rushed out again. She's like, whoa, girl. Doing what I'm doing now. I updated everyone on Raul's current situation, then had a meeting with his agent. I'm so tired. She? Just then, she rushed over to me. Since I've been spending so much time around other people, I hadn't seen him in a while. Gee, let me use you for a minute. Gee! I grabbed him and shoved his horn into my shoulder for a deep massage. Nothing like an electrical current. I haven't felt this in a while. Gee! He fidgeted and tried to resist, but the electrical pulses kept on coming. I used his flow of electricity to massage my stiff shoulders. Thought about the meeting from before. Raul's agent was satisfied that there weren't any issues at the moment, so she was happy to renew our contract. In other words, I would continue as on-site advisor to Coach Raul. He's also doing another job, I guess. I wonder if this is really alright. It's true that my job is to teach him the ways of romance and how to behave when you're in love. But still. No. The memories. Gah! Thought about what happened last night and felt another wave of shame come over me. I was fine the first time we slept together. But that was to prove it really wasn't anything special. Why would you do that to prove a point? Last night, though, that was something special. That's why I felt embarrassed, nervous. That's why my body felt so heavy. That's something Cupid just shouldn't do. Cupid's job is to connect people. I shouldn't be involved in love itself, because it's bound to throw me off. Your expression keeps changing. Is something wrong? Ah! Gee! A voice suddenly called out, and I jumped in surprise. I was so lost in thought, she caught me completely by surprise. And then my own shout startled Chi. He's really quite sensitive. Sorry about that, Chi. You look kinda out of it. You were leaning to the side like you were holding up a heavy bag or something. Did something happen? Huh? No, nothing at all. Nope. Oh, yeah. Don't lick your lips, Claris. Claris grinned playfully and just looked at me. It was like she was telling me she knew exactly what was going on. You have a hickey on your neck. I covered my neck with my hand. Claris laughed loudly and then clasped both hands over her mouth. Oh, wow, are you serious? Huh? Wait, what do you mean? I'm just kidding about the hickey, but your reaction tells me you finally went through with it. You're one of us now. You were messing with me? You didn't come home last night, so I assumed it was something like that. I should go buy a cake to celebrate. Congratulations, you lost it, cake. Hey, stop it! It was just a mistake. Oh, but it was your first time, right? That's still a cause for celebration. Don't you think so? Huh? So, you think this is a good thing, Claris? What? Yeah, of course. It feels good, doesn't it? It made you happy? Well, maybe. Wait, whatever guy you were with wasn't, like, super bad at it, was he? That's what she's worried about. No, not at all. He was pretty skilled, I think. Wait, why am I talking to you about this? Sorry, but if he has technique, then that's good. I should probably teach you how to make it even more pleasurable. Oh, my Claris is gonna get some private lessons. Huh? I think I'll pass on that. This is the wisdom of humanity. It's a huge waste if you don't know it. For now, you can tell me the juicy details tonight. There's no juicy details to talk about. I need to get back to work. I turned away from Claire's to face my computer. I didn't think she'd find out that quickly. She didn't notice after my first time. She probably did, just didn't want to say anything. I guess my first time and yesterday really were different somehow. I need to think about why. But this lingering sensation on my body is totally clouding my thoughts. I managed to finish my tasks for the day. I felt exhausted as I left the office. Just then, I spotted someone who was completely out of place. What? Hi, Minerva. Hey, Cupid. Huh? Lady Minerva? It was the goddess Minerva, one of the deconsentees. What are you doing here? This is kind of random. She's the goddess of war and wisdom. And she's also my aunt. She was just standing there, waving at me. What are you doing here? This is bad, isn't it? I'm here because I was worried about you, darling. Are you headed home right now? Do you have time for a quick chat? Well... Claire said she wanted to go buy a cake to eat at home. But there was still time before dinner. I double-checked the time, then nodded. But no more than an hour. Great. Let's head to the cafe over there. I've been dying to try this Vienna coffee I've heard so much about. Aunt Minerva took my arm as we walked. I started thinking about what everyone talked about at the Mythological Society. I recalled all the theories they covered, but none of them would have ever expected an actual god to be in their own neighborhood. And hopefully no one spots her. They just think she's like an oddly dressed woman. Okay, so, how have you been? Fine, I guess. Doing a wellness check? It's kind of odd that she's like doing this now. Hey, what's with the lady in the weird outfit? Is it some kind of costume? Is there like a special event going on or something? Maybe it's like Anime Expo or something. People are just cosplaying. She sticks out like a sore thumb. When gods descend, they can take the form of humans, or they can remain as gods that are invisible to people. Aunt Minerva wanted to talk to me, so she took a form visible to humans. But she was wearing the same clothes she normally did. They probably think there's some strange girls' night going on. Looking around, some of the people staring at her actually seemed to be into it. It looks like some kind of super cute Halloween costume. I wonder where she bought it. I want to find something as stylish as that. It's like practically a bikini. Apparently it came off as a kind of fashion statement. Those Yorkers are really accepting of anything. But yeah, it's like, it's a bikini, but then there's also like the little pauldron and the lace gloves and the cowboy hat. It's like everything. Just eclectic mishmash. What about you, Lady Minerva? How have you been? I turned back to her to see her nodding enthusiastically. I'm super great, but I'm more concerned about you, Cupid. You're acting kind of strange. Did something happen? Huh? Is this strange? You think so? Don't act suspicious. It seems like your mind's been wandering this whole time. It's not like you, you know. Ugh. Claire's wasn't the only one who can tell. Aunt Minerva could obviously tell I was acting weird too. Did Claire's maybe Claire's reported to like Minerva or something? Cause they were talking in the previous route. Everyone knows now. It really seemed like what happened yesterday had changed me. Looking at her face, I was reminded of the statue at Raul's place, the one that looked exactly like her. He said it was the statue of Neptune, but it's obviously the goddess Minerva, which didn't exactly help me relax. I had slept with him twice there now. The statue had nothing to do with it, but it still made me feel awkward somehow. It's like if you're doing it in some some place where there's like a picture of Jesus or something staring down at you, just like shaming you. Yeah, it'd be kind of weird. It'd be kind of weird if there's like a statue of your aunt just like looming over you while you're doing it. Did you fall in love? No, it's not love. That much was definitely true. But it wasn't just some random activity like going to the gym. If I had to say, it was something on the verge of being special. It wasn't love, but it wasn't making, but it wasn't love, but it was making love. Lust and true emotions weren't the same. That was Raul's outlook. And yet I found myself feeling lost and confused. Aunt Minerva, can I ask you something? Of course, ask me anything. Well, have you ever done it? Done it? Well, you know, made love. As I continue mumbling under my breath, Aunt Minerva spat out her coffee. Don't tell me you finally did it. Shh, not so loud. But yeah, I mean, it kind of just happened. But that's not the point. What I want to ask is, what's the difference between love and lust? Lady Minerva is the goddess of war and wisdom. She's been a god for much longer than me, that's for sure. So it would make sense for her to know more about this than me. I'd look at her with desperation in my eyes. Mom, Dad, and even Lord Jupiter have experience with that stuff, right? But this was my first time, so I don't get it. I always thought they were connected. If you were in love, you would want to do the deed, but only after you were in love. But down here, people say you can do it with someone you don't love. That you can do it just to feel good. So now, I don't know. What's the difference between doing it with someone you love and someone you don't? Or is it all just the same? Ah, I get what you're saying. You're not sure if there's a necessary connection between lust and love. There's no easy explanation. But it's a fact that doing it with someone you love does feel amazing. Someone you love? Wait, but are you saying you've been in love before? Of course I have. I'm no spring chicken, you know. I've had plenty of time to live life. Oh, wait, who'd she fall in love with? Assuming it's another god. Trying to like scrounge up mythology. I don't think Minerva / Athena, did she get with anyone? I think she was like pretty independent, or other gods would try to go after her and she would like somehow just strike them down. I don't know. I gotta rebrush up on my god lore. That's true. We don't really keep track of time in Celestia, but after being down here, I got a sense of just how old the gods could be. Now, if she fell in love with a human, I don't know. Do the same rules apply to the deconsentees? Like, if they fall in love with a human, do they become a human? Or, like, are the deconsentees just, like, they're above the rules? Minerva presides over war, wisdom, and even medicine. She's been worshipped for thousands of years. There's no better feeling than sharing that experience with someone you love. You feel fulfilled in body and soul. It's a special moment that always stays with you, even after thousands of years. And it didn't hurt that he was incredible at it. Oh, okay. Has it really been that long? I still remember it like it was yesterday. His voice, his gaze, his warmth. I can recall every single detail. It's the most precious memory I have. She's like kind of reminiscing about it. Is it maybe like a human? Maybe she did fall in love with a human. Although, I feel like if it was another god, it would have been like a bad breakup or something, because he would have still been alive and there would have been like hurt feelings. But if it was like a human and they just like... she just like outlived him, then she would have those like wistful feelings. She stared into the distance as she recalled that memory. It made her look like a much younger woman. It was the face of someone still in love. I had no idea how many millennia it had been, but that much was obvious. She must really be devoted to that love. Seeing this side of her was really surprising. It made me want to reflect on how I should act. Compared to her dedication, I'd already gotten myself in some casual fling. I guess I shouldn't sleep with him so casually. It feels so nice, it's hard to resist. That sort of feeling has already taken root in me. But it should start as a special, wonderful emotion. Like Aunt Minerva described, it should be a sacred act. Cupid can't be involved in such indulgence. Next time, I need to clearly and forcefully say no. I need to bid farewell to that relationship of lust. I want to allow myself to use the excuse of pleasure. Next time I see Raul, I'm going to beat into him what it means to love someone. Aunt Minerva was still talking about her first love. And I thought about all that as I looked at her. Maybe it was like a king or something. The king of Athens. I kind of feel like there's probably like some royalty has like some claim of like having divine blood or something. Or maybe like Athena. There's stories of like Athena showing her favor to like one king versus another. Oh well. She's not gonna tell us about it. Alright, well I guess is this probably still Lynette's perspective. She's on site again. Sillywood filming location for Goddess Upon the Camel, Part 2. Photo shoot for an interview article. Okay, Raul, can I have you make a slightly sad expression? Sure thing. Okay, that's good. Keep it up. Yeah, something has changed. Raul's expressions have improved a bunch. It was the right call to bring her on as a special advisor. She seems like a good match for him. She's got the right background and some shared hobbies. Who better for him to fall for? My choice was clearly the right one. But it needs one final push. It's not just her physical relationship, but it hasn't gotten to romance just yet. Is she trying to like push them together? I had a meeting with the advisor girl the other day, but she's quite professional about it. She refuses to see Raul romantically. I told her I wanted someone who could enjoy a few dates, then break up once he learns about love. Can't she take a hint? That's cold. You can't just like cut off love like that. That's not how it works. Now she's talking about teaching him about love. She's so focused on her job. But I guess that could still work out for me. I wonder if they can grow a bit closer. I should encourage Raul to invite her to his study sessions. Why is that in quotes? What study sessions? I'm scared. A few days later, the manager's up to something. Raul's agent told me to head to a Sillywood set instead of our normal rehearsal space. They're gonna start filming Goddess Upon the Camel, Part 2. Oh wow, the hair, okay. Flat hair. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Raul. I hadn't seen him face to face since that morning. Because of that, our greeting was awkward to say the least. But as the excitement of the work overcame us, the awkwardness fell away. He put on his work face and got to it. After he got out of the makeup, he was a different person. Maybe it's just me, but he seems way different from normal. The Sillywood actor, Raul Aconite. In that moment, he was truly an actor, not the obsessed parasite that I knew. I was thinking about changing the way I deliver this line. Could you give me your thoughts before we head to set? Sure, I'd be happy to. The script was covered in handwritten notes. I had to stand on my tiptoes to lean in to read. He read a few lines, and I gave him detailed notes for each one. You should pause before you say her name. Don't blink when you say you love her. Things like that. As Cupid, I was familiar with these little human habits. I did my best to give him all the knowledge I could before filming. But those are just little tips and tricks. It would be best if he could experience those things firsthand. I'm guessing that the Sillywood actresses he slept with so far were never really interested romantically. That was the impression I'd gotten when I talked with them at the party. But I thought about Emma Winston and decided to hope for even a sliver of hope. I'm gonna try to pair him with Emma Winston. Seems like it's such a seductress. I recalled those beautiful lips as she smoked. She mentioned that you can never be successful without technique. Couldn't imagine her being in a loving romantic relationship. Yeah, it's more like she's just doing it to get something out of it. Either pleasure or to move up her career. Oh, but if it's just a one-sided romance, you could experience a broken heart too. But that's sad too. Wait, Cupid shouldn't be thinking about that kind of scenario. I want people to experience the joy of love, the happiness of loving and being loved. Otherwise, I'm not fulfilling my role. And yet, imagining Raul being close to someone else, smiling at them innocently, caused a strange reaction inside me. What was that? What was I feeling just now? Alright, let's start filming! Places! Everyone, places! The director's voice echoed, and Raul's shoulders drooped in disappointment. Time's up. I better get going. He handed me the script, then put both of his hands together and stretched. I'm sure you'll be fine, Raul. I'll be watching from here. Right, thanks, ma'am. He smiled and ran off. Watching him go, he really did have the aura of a true Sillywood actor. He is a mythology enthusiast and seems almost otherworldly. His sense of ethics is a bit off, of course. It was so easy for me to forget he was a movie star. I watched him get ready for filming along with the rest of the staff. I hope he knocks this performance out of the park. Okay, scene 3, take 1. And action! Mia, who is that man? Was your promise to me nothing but a lie? Don't talk nonsense. He's just a colleague. There's no need for you to get jealous. Jealous? I was just... You don't own me. I have a career to worry about too, you know. Is that more important than me? Wow, he's really amazing. He looked like he was losing his grip on his sanity. A man in pain, clinging desperately to his love. His acting conveyed all of it. His eyes were the same way during the Mythological Society meeting. Watching him made me feel restless. But it's good that his acting is getting better. That's right, he was just acting. Just putting my advice into practice. I decided to assume that was all it was. I watched with bated breath along with everyone else. Before long, they finished filming the scene. Great! That expression was very nice, Raul. In fact, I dare say it was perfect. Awesome. Thank goodness. The filming was off to a good start. I let out a sigh of relief. They continued on with the other scenes that had to be filmed on the same set. So, movies don't film in order of the script. If they can't keep the same set forever, so it makes sense that they can't go in order. Yeah, instead of just like having to move set to set to set to set, just film all the scenes before you lose access to that location. I was thinking about how tough that must be when I noticed Raul staring at the lead actress. The next scene was set earlier in the story, when the two of them were on a date and first getting romantic. Okay, that's a wrap for today. Good job, everyone. Good work. The call-out concluded the day, and everyone relaxed. The director went up to Raul and patted him on the shoulder. Hey, Raul, that was the best. You're so much better than before. I especially liked how you portrayed your jealousy. I'm really glad you liked it. But the way you express true love still needs some work. It needs to come across as a little more pure. That romance is a key part of the climactic scene, so I'll be expecting a lot from you. Right. I'll try to keep improving. So his expression of love still needs work. The director was right. He was still playing it safe. I had to admit it wasn't as good as it could be. He's getting better little by little, but he still feels a little bit too casual. In the scene where he meets the heroine, Mia, the way he hits on her was more like a casual encounter than a sincere desire. And when he confessed his feelings to her, there was no sense of innocence or excitement that comes with newfound love. I knew how comfortable Raul was with telling someone he was into them, or going in for an embrace. But because he'd had so many casual encounters in his life, his mind was the complete opposite of innocent. He hadn't been doing that kind of thing lately, but old habits die hard. In order to present that kind of innocent love, you would have to come to understand what romance really was. As his on-site advisor, it was my job to teach him the ABCs of pure love. That's Cupid's one true duty. I tried to recall all the couples I'd seen while I was in Celestia, in search of what I should say to Raul. Next chapter? Okay, next chapter. I guess we'll do one more chapter. Like a muffin stuck in your throat, what? The next day, filming experienced some difficulties. Mia, wait for me. Why? Why are you leaving me behind? Is your work really so important to you? Why did it have to happen again? I've never been any good, I'm just... Cut! Gah, it's just not coming out the way I envisioned it. I'm sorry we have to keep doing it over and over. No, it's okay. It's all part of the process. I just need more depth from your expression of love. Depth? Yes, like you're a kid throwing a tantrum because he lost his favorite toy. It shows devotion, but not in a cool way, you see. I need mature sexiness combined with pity for a man cast aside. Maybe that doesn't make sense, I don't know. Just need more depth. You need to be like a child, but also mature. Anyway, we got plenty of takes to choose from, and we lost the light. That's a wrap on Roll for today. Let's move on to the scene 9, where Mia is eating dinner alone. The director clapped his hands to signal everyone to begin preparing for the next scene. This scene only had the leading actress by herself, so that was it for Raul for the day. Looks like I'm causing trouble for them again. Raul got changed and appeared with a troubled look on his face. Good work today. Please, ma'am. Can you tell me what was so wrong with my portrayal of love? As he stood in front of me, I compared his performance with his co-star. I think it's because you haven't really developed your own sense of values when it comes to love. Sense of values. Like in the fourth scene, it didn't feel like a moment between lovers. It was too friendly. It needed a more genuine simplicity. It was obvious that the man had other women on the side. He didn't seem like he needed the heroine. You're playing a man that only has eyes for her, but she chooses her work over you. That's where the emotional value comes from. Just be like Gil. I see. Oh, and your eyes don't look like they're in love. My eyes. When someone experiences passionate love, their eyes sparkle. Like the other person is all the stars in the night sky. It's like how your eyes get all sparkly when you talk about mythology. Sparkle? Like this? He doesn't. The guy's gonna do that portrait. Roll open his eyes and wide in an effort to make them sparkle. Now you just seem like a kid who's like spotted some candy or his favorite toy. But they didn't feel like the eyes of someone in love, if I had to put it into words. You're thinking about mythology right now, aren't you? You saw right through me. I knew it. That's the exact same face he makes whenever he talks about mythology. Raul, the obsessed parasite. His expressions are brightest when he's talking about his obsession. But I just can't help it. My eyes never sparkle the way they do when I'm thinking about my miss. Well, for any normal person, being in love is what does it. It's because you've only had casual encounters your entire life. No amount of one-night stands will get you any closer to understanding true love. You've still never been in love, right? Well, true. At least I've never felt complex emotions like a broken heart or all that other stuff you talk about. But I do think I understand jealousy and possessiveness a little better. I never had those before. Raul smiled softly as he looked at me. My heart skipped a beat. I got the sense that last comment was directed at me. Jealousy and possessiveness? It's because of that last meeting, isn't it? The yes meeting. I still haven't talked to Raul about that day. I couldn't bear to bring it up because it was so embarrassing. The mood suddenly turned awkward, so I cleared my throat. Well, if you fall in love with someone nice, you'll understand. And as your Cupid, I'll be on the lookout for that moment. The problem right now, though, is that you aren't able to meet anyone. That, and you don't seem to need love at all. This is all for the lessons, and for his acting. Raul doesn't seem to have any desire to fall in love. You can't really force it. Especially, like, because of his reason. Like, I just need love for the experience. Like, you don't just love someone and then just, like, cast them aside that easily. You're not wrong. I don't understand love, so I can't force myself to want it. If it weren't for this gig, I wouldn't bother. It's kind of like Shelby. He's like, Shelby just looking marriage as if he was applying for a license, like he just needed that check mark. Love is kind of a pain, isn't it? I'd have less time for my hobbies, and nobody I know sees the value in it. Nobody you know? You mean all your Sillywood actor friends? Yep, I hear the film crew talking about it a lot too. They all avoid it because they want to focus on their work. I don't want to have less time to polish my statues or read scripts and contracts just because I'm in love. I don't like how he thinks that love can be a pain. It's true that the recent decline in marriage rates are partially due to that way of thinking among humans. Back in Celestia, the couples that separated after I brought them together would often say that they wanted to focus on work or hobbies. Because they have other stuff they want to do. I feel like I feel like way back then people got married out of like survival. A lot of the times. Maybe it's like that today actually. You might just get together with someone to share the rent. But I'm here right now to stand up against that cultural shift. It does have value. In my humble opinion, it's incredibly wonderful. Are you sure about that? Don't you have any longing for love? After all those myths and stories you've read, don't you want to experience it for yourself? Well, those stories are all straight to the point. It's always love at first sight or marriage after slaying some great beast. Good. I wish I could say he was wrong about that. I'm sure there was more to it, but they didn't have paper back then, so you have to get to the point right away. But I'd love to get struck by Cupid's arrow. After all, that was strong enough to get the Queen of Crete to fall in love with a bull. Well, I can't deny that's how the story goes, at least. This is so annoying. Hearing him talk like that made it sound like my dad was completely right. I can hear him now. I told you so, young one. But this is where my skills as an advisor comes in. I have to prove to him that he can learn about love even without Cupid. Well, what about romantic movies or novels? Have those ever made you want to see what it's like to be in love? Nah, not really. When it comes to movies, I usually pay more attention to the other stuff. What other stuff? Like one time I realized they were filming on site in Greece, and now there was a temple dedicated to Zeus nearby. Or I keep an eye out for bas relief carvings in the background or statues of Nike, things like that. Nike? You mean... Yep, the goddess of victory, otherwise known as Victoria. That's the last thing you should be looking for in a romantic movie. I realize that, but I just can't help it. At the end of the day, I just don't have any interest in those scenes of romance. Not like I didn't know that already, but all I could do in that moment was sigh. How could someone who doesn't understand the wonder of romance movies star in one himself? That was a bigger problem than I realized. Even though he really had no experience with romance, I thought he would understand its entertainment value, if nothing else. Alright, then let's watch some romance movies together to learn more about them. Really? How about we watch Roman? But I'll be focusing on romantic plots, and no mythology talk. One mythical word and I'm out of there. What? Come on. Dies. Raul fell to his knees. Forbidding any talk about mythology must have been a real shock to his system. Well, if you really don't want to, I just won't do it. What'll it be? I glanced at Raul, who was still on his knees. He forced himself back up and dusted himself up. It'd be funny if they just like whoop him back up. No, I'll do it. You're my teacher, so please help me. I want to learn about the joy of romance. The look on Raul's face was serious. It wasn't the usual relaxed feel he gave out. He really does want to learn from me. Learn from me then. I smiled in response. Alright, then let's go rent some movies. I'll pick out the very best of the best. We went and picked out a bunch of different movies, then headed to Raul's place. We piled up the movies we rented, and I thought about which one to watch first. Let's go with the standard passionate love. Instead of movies that are like a tug-of-war, I thought it would be better to experience a fateful romantic life. Now, should we go with a happy ending or a tragic one? I think Raul might understand tragedy better, in which case... I picked up 3 choices. Pretty Prince, a Bridal Battle, or Mulan. That's supposed to be Moulin Rouge, right? Moulin Rogue. I'm trying to think what Pretty Prince is a spoof of, or a parody of. Well, the correct answer is Moulin Rogue. It reminds me of all the times in, like, playing an MMO and you misspell rogue. Like, oh, I have a level 19 Rouge Twink here to go to Warsong Gulch, and everyone's like, it's called Rogue. God, can't you spell? I'm like, alright, sorry. Just a little dyslexic in my typing. Alright, well, let's pick option 3. Let's kick things off with this one, Moulin Rogue. It's a true romance that shows how to deal with all kinds of tough obstacles. Aunt Minerva and I watched it a bunch in Celestia. They knew they shouldn't be together, but they were in love. Everyone objected. They broke up, but they knew they'd be together again. It was a perfect example of what romance should look like. Oh, this is a famous one. I've never seen it myself, but I always meant to check it out. Hearts. That was the correct choice. Pay attention to how they use their eyes, okay? I'll pause it here and there to explain the change in their emotions. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, and I made us some coffee. I looked down to find fresh brewed coffee and French pastries waiting on the table. Wow, that looks delicious, having a nice comfy movie day. This is perfect for movie watching. Wine would be better, but I figure since this is technically a study session. Haha, you definitely made the right choice. When it comes to studying, Raul is an undeniably diligent student. Since I know what he's like, I was able to talk to him honestly without holding back, despite what had happened between us. I'm still a bit nervous since I'm at his house. Like the last 2 times we were at his house. He's gonna throw himself on you. But there was no reason to think things would get either hot or heavy. I pressed play and sat on the couch, feeling at ease. The company logos came and went, and the intro music started to swell. Our film screening had officially begun. It started off with a simple setting description: Paris, 1899. Ah, did you see that? There's a Cupid ornament in that shop window. If you want to start talking mythology, I'll be perfectly happy to go home and leave you to it. No, sorry. Forget I said anything. Can't help it. Paris, 1899. Our lover's romance begins in hilly Montmartre. Montmartre, okay. Ah, the look at their faces. See how he gazes at her when he first sees her? It's clearly love at first sight for him. I guess so. It does seem like he's fallen in love, but honestly, I have no idea why. It's up to you to make the audience forget about the why. As long as the emotion comes across, the reason doesn't matter. That's how important this scene is. You have to tell the audience that you fell in love at this moment, or the story won't make sense. And this actor succeeded in that, which is why it won a bunch of awards, and why people still watch it today. Yep, that's exactly right. I see. That's one heck of a responsibility on my shoulders. Raul smiled playfully, his eyes still glued to the screen. He seemed really interested in the movie now. It had somehow suddenly motivated him as an actor. He finally saw the importance of portraying love. He realized that this is why his director kept having him redo his scenes. From that point on, he didn't mention mythology a single time. He watched quietly and listened carefully to my explanations. A few times he acted out the lines from the movie to himself. There's no greater bliss in this world than giving you my love. I want to be with you forever. That was a line from the movie, word for word. But for some reason, when Raul said it, something felt off. Maybe you have to face Lynette and say it. He seemed to realize it too. He placed his hand over his mouth and turned his head to the side, thinking it over. There's no greater bliss. There is no... No, that's not quite it. He stared at the screen and frowned. I could tell he was completely serious about figuring it out. Raul Aconite is an action star. His agent told me he's best suited for roles where he can utilize his own personal experiences. So if he could have a kind of virtual experience, personal experience through these movies, that could be really useful for him. As I watched him work, I prayed he could develop a true longing for love. Oh, nighttime falls. And then... we watched all the movies together, back to back. When we arrived at the 5th movie of the night... in that last scene, his actual words were pretty strong, right? But more than anything, he was expressing regret. Right. Oh, and here, the man is expressing his own internal strife. That might be a good reference point for you. Right? Huh? All of a sudden, something soft yet heavy plopped down onto my head. Did you fall asleep? Aww. Snooze. He's a big dude, though. Probably like, ow. He fell asleep. Raul's head was laying on mine. The end credits finished, and in the black reflection of the screen, I could see Raul fast asleep. His breath slowed. He was clearly in a deep sleep. That's when I remembered. That's right. Raul started filming really early this morning. His agent told me during the shoot that it was tough because Raul was filming for another thing really early. Yeah, you must be really exhausted, Raul. Good luck carrying him to bed. Maybe just tuck him in on the couch. And yet, he was willing to study all these movies with me. I'm sure he was most irritated at his own acting. Raul Aconite is serious and sincere about his work after all. His head suddenly felt heavier. My heart started beating faster. That subtle movement gave me the impression of desire. Our bodies were touching, and I could feel his close body heat. It was warm and heavy, but heavy in a way that I found comforting. I leaned back against him so that we were each supporting each other. He seemed so young and innocent. A man that doesn't know love, but I still don't know that much about him. For one thing, I don't know anything about your childhood. I whispered that half to myself. The only response from him was more soft breathing. He never talks about his private life. It's always just mythology. There's nothing about him personally he would ever mention. Normally, when he was awake, he was innocent, sincere, and friendly, but he refused to rely on anyone. He didn't really refuse anyone, but he never changed anyone either. That told me he didn't mind being alone. Just like the action movies he's in, he has the strength to overcome many difficult obstacles. Up until now, I hadn't realized it, that he never relied on me, or tried to get my attention. Even when making love, he went for the most straightforward moves, like a trainer at the gym. He found the most pleasurable areas and focused on those. And when I woke up the next morning, he was back to his normal, casual self. This is the first time he's ever shown any kind of vulnerability. It was clear he had started to feel more relaxed around me. That made me kind of happy. Snooze. I could hear his quiet, regular breathing. I just sat there listening as I leaned against him. I woke up on the couch. Huh? When did I fall asleep? There's a blanket draped over me. I have absolutely no idea what happened. I look at the clock. It's only 10 o'clock. I suddenly felt my stomach grumble and remembered I hadn't eaten dinner. Just then, I heard footsteps near the window. My eyes opened wide at the sight of her there. It needs something else. Huh? She was messing around with the Mars statue. Apparently, she had just finished putting my hat on it. Next, let's try this. She grabbed a pair of nearby sunglasses and stuck them on the statue. I couldn't see her face, but she seemed to be having fun. Haha, now it looks much more like Mars. The face is totally wrong, so I had to take care of that. Next up is... She was humming to herself as she crouched down next to the statue of Neptune. This section here is totally wrong, I think. She looked at the Minerva statue, turning her head to the side. Such a cute little movement. I wanted to run over and hug her. But I had to hold myself back. I didn't want to stop her from having fun with the statues. If she was eager to interact with them even without me, she must be a true enthusiast. I didn't realize she was that into mythology. With any other girl, it was clear that they only pretended to like mythology when I was around. As a Sillywood actor, it was impossible to meet a girl that truly loved myths. I was always let down in the end. Any girl that was interested in me just pretended to try and catch my interest. But she really truly is into it, not just some facade to get me to like her. At first I thought that she was just playing along too, even though she obviously knew a lot about the topic. I was so happy whenever she knew what I was talking about. I felt genuinely awful when she got mad at me. But she really does love it. She was angry at me as my advisor. I guess because it wasn't helping me understand what love is. What should I do? I'm so happy right now. I pulled the blanket up and closed my eyes. I could still hear her making happy sounds. Mars, Venus, Cupid. She whispered their names one after another. I wanted this moment to last forever. Then I heard footsteps and felt a shadow fall over me. He still isn't ready to wake up, huh? What should I do now? She leaned in close to my face and I completely froze up. I pretended to be asleep, waiting to see what she would do next. Usually if a girl stayed over, she'd try to kiss me in secret or drape herself over me seductively to wake me up. If I left now, I'd have to leave the door unlocked. But should I really stay the night again? Well, I have to go to set with him tomorrow anyway, so maybe it's okay. And I need to return the movies tomorrow, too. As she mumbled to herself, I could tell she was wandering away from me. I snuck a quick peek and saw her walking to the kitchen. After a moment, I heard the fridge open. I'm so hungry. You wouldn't mind if I just had a little something to eat, right? I guess she hadn't eaten dinner either. When we finished the fourth movie, it was already past 7 o'clock. Once I fell asleep, I guess she felt like she couldn't leave, and had just stayed here, waiting for me. She's the world's most professional advisor, and I couldn't deny I was happy that she was still there. No Sillywood actress would care about locking the door if I was asleep. They'd just leave as soon as they felt like it. And here's my own personal advisor, spending all her free time on me. I know it's just part of her job, but still. Playing with the statues definitely wasn't part of her job. I couldn't help but smile. I really was getting hungry, so I decided I should get up and head to the kitchen. Time to stop pretending to be asleep. As I stood up, I decided it would be a good chance for us to make dinner together. I also hoped she would be willing to talk a bit about mythology, as a reward for studying those movies so hard today. It all goes back to mythology. Oh, next morning. The next morning... Okay, I'll go ahead and return the movies. Oh, I don't mind doing that. No, it's fine. I wanted to stop by my place first anyway. You just get as much rest as you can until it's time to perform. I'll meet up with you on set. And she's gone. After she left, I felt slightly lonely. I was hoping we could go to the set together. But she kept telling me that I have to learn to rest properly or I just keep dozing off. After we ate dinner, she forced me to take a bath and shuffled me off to bed. It's like, Mom. I was so tired I fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow and didn't wake up again till morning. It was the first time in a while I'd gotten a whole night without messing around with a girl. Wait, got a whole night without messing around? Do you have like a new woman like every night? Our whole time together, the mood never went that way. We didn't even kiss. I couldn't remember the last time that happened. Huh? Wait. What was this strange feeling in my chest? Did I get a bit of muffin stuck in my throat? Is this how he describes the feeling of love? Am I choking? Whatever, doesn't matter. I should get ready to go, too. Despite still feeling slightly confused, I got myself ready to leave. When I found my sunglasses still on the Mars statue, I felt another strange sensation in my chest. Oh, next chapter. Finding love in Los York. Oh, looks like Lynette's at a meeting. Okay. Been going for an hour. I like how this round is like walking it in reverse. So we had a nice little get together, watched a movie, saw a nice CG of Raul sleeping on Lynette. I feel like that should have been like the first CG and not the first, not what we got. But yeah, maybe that's the whole point. We're seeing a romance just kind of back out from that direction. Okay, anywho, it's time to take a little break. I hope you guys... Actually, let's save before I forget and just, like, go to the title screen. Save over here. Okie doke. Alright. Yeah, so I hope you guys are having a fun time with this. And I'll see you in the next episode of Bye Bye.